no one's going to take him seriously, so he might as well continue going down this rabbit hole, because what else can he do? He's already the laughing stock of chess. So let's go to the second blog. Here we go, part 2. Factual reputations, part 2, farming lies. Okay, great. Here we go. So this is also great because Kramnik now apparently, if I'm reading the title correctly, he apparently understands more about online chess than all the people who've been playing it for at least the last decade. Now, let us talk about farming. I will base it on facts and real numbers, not general grounds like many, including some respectable players, did before. What is farming? It is choosing lower rate opponents in order to win some rating, which is exactly what you guys saw me do for the first hour on stream today. Okay, I personally wouldn't farm, at least because of my self-respect. In my view, farming much weaker players instead of playing competitive opposition, it's disrespectful towards yourself, but I leave it to everyone to have their own opinion about it. Now, here's the big problem that Kramnik does not understand about farming. What does Kramnik expect people who are content creators to do? I am a content creator. I stream chess nearly every day. Would he prefer that I spend 8 hours a day playing my best openings against Magnus Carlsen? Like, I have chances to do that whenever I play the Chess Champions Tour, whenever I play in the Speed Chess Championship. Bullet Brawl, obviously, Bullet Brawl and Bullet Chess Championship are a little bit different because Bullet, you just play whatever. But you, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm trying to stream what makes for good content. Farming people, getting adoptions. And if Kramnik wants to be mad about that, by the way, he should blame the chess bras, because the whole McDoption and adoption are direct things that come from the chess bra stream to begin with. So that's the first thing that needs to be said very clearly. What does he expect? Content is content. It makes for great videos on YouTube. It's fun to try and increase your rating. Like, all these things matter. That's the bottom line. Now, that is also why there are certain players, for example, like probably I'll just use Grishuk as an example, but like Grishuk, I think his blitz rating is something like 2990, or it's maybe somewhere around 3000, or even Ramesh Babu Pragnananda, who's also like 2990. Now, both those guys are tremendous blitz players. I mean, just they're tremendous players, period. Their ratings are low because they don't need to create content. They show up, they play Title Tuesday or whatever events matter, and that's what they do. That's the bottom line. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, like, I would understand, why would you want to spend your time online playing weaker players necessarily? The reason that you wouldn't want to do that is because you don't have to create content. It doesn't help your chess necessarily. But for people who are making content, trying to make a living, it is one of the things that you do. Daniel does it all the time. I do it all the time. That is simply the reality. So let's keep going. What do we have? Okay, well, wait, what do we have? We have where I lost it. It's disrespectful. Fine, whatever. Farming isn't cheating, obviously, like one popular streamer pretended I meant it. It's just another absurd and bland disinformation. Now, this appears to be very clearly, I don't know if he's trying to go after me again, or if this is about Fabiano, but he doesn't say a name, obviously, because he's trying to obscure things. But let's keep going. But then what makes farming successful? Let us think a bit instead of repeating after others those farming mantras. There is no indication that playing weaker opponents is giving you a better chance to increase your rating. That is the way the rating system works. That is also wrong. That is completely wrong, because if I can tell you this, if I were to play if I were to basically not play Title Tuesday or Arena Kings and only farm, I'm pretty sure I could play like 2 games a day or 1 game a day for the next year and probably get my rating to like 3,500. I could probably do that. But of course, the fact of the matter is that the system doesn't work perfectly, because it's a closed system. You pick and choose who you're playing against. It's not something where you have to play against an open field of players. Okay. So he says, true, it makes it much easier to win games. One single mistake can neutralize your 8 straight victories. And if you're farming some 2,900 players, this level is quite serious. Let me remind you that players like Grishuk Prague are often below 3,000 on chess.com. This is where it actually falls apart. Kramnik does not understand many things about online chess, but this here says it all. He's basically trying to say that every 28 or 2,900 level player is basically the same type of player as Grishuk or Pragnananda, and he is 100% wrong. 100% dead wrong. So there are a lot of people who are rated like 2,300 over the board, and I mean, we can talk about blitz rating separately, but there are a lot of people who are like 2,300, 2,350 who get above 2,800. Heck, even there's even this popular streamer by the name of Levi Roseman who has a peak of 2,850 on chess.com, and Levy is Levy is a very good player, but his peak rating is like 2430 over the board. And this is where Kramnik does not understand how online rating works whatsoever. Levy's peak is 2862. Yeah, this is exactly where Kramnik fails to understand. He's basically assuming that everybody who's 2800 or 2900 is a top level chess player who just doesn't go on farming expeditions. That's what he's saying. He's essentially saying that everyone who's 2900 is serious player like Grishuk or Prague, which is just wrong. That's just 100% dead wrong. Even the guy I played today who was like 2800, he is an IM, but his rating probably is like 2400. Just completely dead wrong. Okay, if their rating is real, it means it has some correlation at least with their chess level, which of course is, as I just said, not true whatsoever. On top of that, leaderboard players have nothing else to do than farm in a way, because 99.9999% of potential opponents are seriously lower rated. And many players think that playing much lower rated players is in fact risking your rating more than playing higher rated opponents. Let's get to statistics. First and foremost, in those numerous streaks of Hikaru, there were dozens of opponents, just a few played more than 6 games, with mostly one or just a few games played against each separate one. So farming was quite limited in those streaks and can't be explained by the explanation of those several performances. Did he not? First of all, he cherry-picked the stats of the 45.5 out of 46, but the amount of opponents in that streak, I believe, was not more than 10, and that's being generous. I think the amount of opponents, I could find the stats, but I'm pretty sure that the amount of opponents in that streak, it was 8 at most. I think it was like 8 players at most. So interesting explanation. But let's keep and by the way, this is where also he says they can't be and this is where, like, when Kramnik tries to pretend and say that he's not making quote-unquote accusations, he says so farming was quite limited and can't be the explanation of those performances. This is where, like, I get tired of him trying to hide behind his words and try to pretend that he's not saying something when he says quite clearly cannot be the explanation of those several performances. It's very clear what he is saying. That's the bottom line. On a personal note, it would be great, gentlemen, if you would decide spending half an hour checking it before you form the opinion, even more expressing your opinion in media. Especially those who are followed by fans, creating therefore a public opinion on the site. Being responsible for words which you say on public is an important virtue, I believe. Okay. I have also checked those players Hikaru is supposedly farming. First, except 1 or 2 maximum, there is no indication of them being overrated in general. They mostly regain their rating after those heavy defeats, even some increase their rating since then, and still losing the match like 0-16 or even 0-20 at times. This is great stuff. And again, he's wrong. Liam Putnam, and also, you know why he's wrong? I'm not even a math guy, but I can tell you this, like, as someone who's actually played poker on occasion, the fact is you cannot base something off of a short period of time. He would have to wait at least 1 year before he can make such a claim about the ratings going back to where they were. That's like the stock market. I'll use the stock market as another example. Just because the stock market is here today, you can't just say like everything is rebound. Stock market could drop 20% next month, and the stock market goes down 20%, then no, the stock market is not back where it's not like back where it was before. So yeah, this is just hilarious. He's basically saying in the last 3 weeks the ratings have gotten back. Let's see where the ratings actually, maybe 1 year is wrong, because if you try to use 1 year, if these are kids, they could actually improve a lot. The kids probably are actually improving. This is a big question mark. It's like Liam Putnam, who's one of the players I played, I think he's like 14 or 15, so he could just get better and his rating could go up. Which means, first of all, you probably can't use 1 year, but secondly, his idea of saying their ratings have gone back is wrong, because these are kids who are constantly improving. So both parts of this don't work. Second, none of them farmed on their own before, as some pretended here and there. I've checked it. I was taught being responsible for my words from the childhood, so it's not true. Man, this is comical. Still found several interesting things about some of those players, like incredible gap between their FIDE and chess.com ratings. Well, duh, you're basically invalidating your previous point, because they're not Alexander Grishuk or Pragnananta here. They're literally kids who are amazing at blitzing, getting their ratings up. And this is where I also would say a very important point, which sort of it started, like, my mind started thinking around the time of the Tyler 1 stuff. But the fact is, Kramnik is basing things on like a basically set things that were true at certain points in time, and things are not true anymore. Certain things are just not true. For example, there are two kids I played on chess.com, Sina Movahad from Iran and also Yagiz Khan Erdogmas from Turkey, and these are kids who are 12 years old. These kids are 12 years old and their ratings are pushing 3,100 on and off on chess.com. Their ratings are higher than a lot of players who are established top GMs, and they're 12 years old. And in the old days, something like that was just not possible. You would have said, these kids, they got to be cheating. It's not possible. And 20 years ago, that would have been true. Probably even 10 years ago, that would have been true. But in the modern day and age, kids are improving so incredibly quickly. And even to use a better example, there's this girl, and I'll read an article on her later on from, I believe, the United Kingdom, who's 8 years old, and she recently played in the European, I think, Blitz Championship, and she played at a 2300 level. I think 23, it was 22 or 2300 level performance, and that is at the age of 8 years old. She is 8 years old and she's playing at a 2300 level. 8 years old. I could talk about Faustino Oro, on and on and on. The list just goes on forever. But there are all these kids who are getting really, really good, really good. And that's why when I see Kramnik say these things, he just does not understand how the game is changing. He's acting as though the game is not changing at all, and it's saying the same. He's not realizing how technology has changed us and how all these kids have access to so many more resources and people are improving so quickly. When Kramnik was growing up, how did you even study tactics? You opened your book, you sat down in front of a physical chessboard, you probably spent at least 10 minutes on every single tactical problem. Nowadays, kids probably in like 30 seconds can do puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle to the nth degree. So this is it's very clear that it was Bodhana Sivanandan. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what Kramnik just does not understand whatsoever. Anyway, let's keep going. All in all, farming. A, it's not an explanation of those streaks with over and under performances. B, there was very limited farming those streaks. In any case, you can check for yourself. I mean, okay, dude, cool story. The whole concept of farming works, and also about the streak. If he actually looked at all the games I played over those couple of days, he would notice that there was I think one player in there, Nicholas Theodoru, who I played. I drew once and lost once. I stopped playing him. I played against the Turkish kid. As soon as I lost 2 games, I stopped playing. So trying to say this isn't farming or it's not calculated, he's just 100% wrong as always. And the best part about this is all this is on tape, so everybody can see all this stuff, and it's pretty funny. Okay. See, the whole concept of farming works only if your lower rated opponent is heavily overrated, or you can play at times much stronger than your rating. Yes, exactly. And my opponents are overrated relative to my rating. I think I am going to beat them 9 times out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Usually I play at +2, so I'm playing someone at +2. I think I'm going to beat them 9 out of 10 games. I do believe that. I actually believe that I'm going to beat them 9 out of 10. And usually in those streaks too, you'll notice there are like 2 or 3 games where I'm completely getting cooked. And if I can turn those 2 or 3 games around and win them, then I just dominate the match. But if I lose those 2 or 3 games, which does happen as well, then my rating goes straight down. So that's the bottom line. D, before telling something publicly or repeating after others, I'd recommend everyone check open source statistics. If truth and honesty, yeah, open source statistics. There are literally papers published on this dude by actual mathematicians. If truth and honesty, responsibility for what you tell means something for you, because otherwise you disinform public willingly or unwillingly, result is the same to be continued. Yeah, you disinform the public. We know who's disinforming the public. Yeah, so anyway, just thought I would cover this because it's pretty funny that we're talking about we're talking about farming once again. I mean, it's a very strange hill to die on, and I find it very sad that Kramnik's doing this. But at the end of the day, I guess I understand, because at this point he's already destroyed his reputation completely and no one's going to take him seriously, so he might as well continue going down this rabbit hole, because what else can he do? He's already the laughingstock of chess.